Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. It's very nice to have you listening today. Today, I am going to be talking to you about something that will affect every single one of you, and that is packing out. So this is not a fun nor enjoyable topic. As we all know, one of the worst things in the world is having to pack up all of your household effects and put it into a crate and ship it away, only to, whoever knows how many months from now we'll get to see it again, and in what state it might be. But it is a necessary evil. And there are ways to make your pack out somewhat less awful. So let's talk about some of the things that can help make your pack out a little more bearable. First, let's talk about the kinds of shipments that you will get. And this varies by agency. And so I may be using different terminology, but we are state, so I will give you the state terminology. The first shipment that you really should consider is your household effects. This is the bulk of your items. And this would include, your kitchenware, your linens, your clothes. Some countries limit or specify what can and cannot be included in your household effects. So it's important to be aware of what your receiving country dictates as to what can and cannot be included. Some other things to consider is some receiving countries can only have crates of particular sizes. So that might impact items that you would want to bring. For example, there might be a restriction that would limit you bringing an American king size mattress, for example. And so it's your GSO or your move coordinator will be able to they will be aware of what these limitations are and will help ensure that your packers don't do things that are not allowable by the receiving country, but just considerations for you. Another shipment that you will have is your unaccompanied air baggage, which is in state, it's referred to as your UAB. This is dependent on your family size, on how much weight you are allowed. And this is, again, often limited by what you can and cannot include. In some countries, for example, they don't allow you to include aerosols there may be, I remember one country wouldn't allow us, the packers would not allow us to pack our oregano because they said that it would not be allowed in the shipment because, of course, the drug dogs would think the oregano was marijuana, which we didn't try, but I don't know, that one's very iffy. But again, your UAB is some items that you would want as quickly as possible at your receiving country. There are ways where you can also, for example, if you're going on an extended home leave, you can ship your UAB maybe a few weeks before you go, and you can ship it to wherever you're going to be on your home leave. And hint, hint, this is a good way to get gifts home, just saying. And then you can repack your UAB with items that you actually will need at your onward assignment from wherever your home leave address is. So we have done this many times to get gifts home, and then we fill our UAB with, maybe some goodies from Trader Joe's or some snacks and such that we would like. And in addition to, oftentimes we'll have like school supplies or sporting things for the kids or clothes that we know we'll need. So that's your UAB. The third shipment that you'll have is your permanent storage. And so these are items that will be not joining you at your onward assignment. They will be crated, and they will be sent to one of the storage facilities that your agency has. For state, most of the permanent storage items either go to ELSO, which is in the Netherlands, or in the European area, or they will send it to the United States. So just a quick note, all of your shipments, including all of the weight that you have in permanent storage, are a cumulative amount, and you have so much weight that you can have in all of these different shipments. And all of your permanent storage lots are, of course, added into that. In addition, whenever you go stateside, you are required to receive all of your items that are in storage. So that's when you get to see your items that maybe you put in storage from your very first tour, and you can't imagine why you would have kept the furniture that you did. But this is all just little nuances about your shipment. So as we go into our own moving pack out period, there's a couple of things that we do to sort our items in the house. And that is, well, I encourage you to do this early and often, and that is sorting your stuff. You have to ask yourself some questions. And you also have to remember that, when you move as often as we do, you can't really be a hoarder. You can't keep all of the stuff. You can't keep all of the artwork that the kids bring home. You can't keep all of the things that you start to attach sentimental value to, purely because just the weight. So you can't, everything starts to add up. And then when you start nearing the max weight that you are allowed, then you have to make hard decisions. So some of the questions that we ask ourselves when we sort, and we do this probably every 6 months, we ask, have you used it this tour? Have you used it in this last period? And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't keep it. You have to ask yourself, does it still fit? So whoever the intended person who would wear it or use it, does it fit? Especially with clothing for the kids, this is a very, very valid question. And maybe, you also have to consider, maybe it does still fit, but your next climate will not allow for you to wear it. So are you really going to drag something with you for 2 to 4 years and then just drag it to the next and not even be able to wear it? I do, though, with, again, a little asterisk. Like, we've always been in tropical or very hot, warmer climates. We've always kept a bit of cold weather stuff with us, just in case, for vacations, or for if ever we were to go back stateside and it's winter, or, those unfortunate circumstances when some sort of medevac situation might come up. You might be sent somewhere that isn't necessarily the same climate. So it's always good to have some clothes that would work for other climates as well. So the third question for sorting would be, does it bring you joy? So we do have items that, we drag around the world, the globe, that we keep purely because they make us happy. And if those are the items and they still bring you joy, then you should find a way, if possible, to include it in your shipment. Maybe there is some sentimental items that you really love and equate with home. You should bring them. But some other items, maybe your bed linens or towels need to be replaced. There is everything that you are not going to take with you. There will be someone who can use it at your post. And on that, there are many different ways to get rid of your items that don't include just throwing them away. Maybe you have a clothing swap or exchange, although that might in turn bring in more clothes as well. So proceed with caution on that one. Or maybe, there's a good place to donate your items, a church or a a shelter might be collecting these items and giving them to someone who is more needy. Especially with kids' clothes, again, there's always other kids at post that would probably most gladly accept clothing and items that are still usable. We often find that once the eldest wears it and then the middle one wears it and then it passes through the younger one, it's probably not in the best condition, but there might be people or a place to donate those items that would gladly still make use of it. Or, worst case scenario, there might be a pet shelter that needs some bedding for their furry members' beds. So there's always a place where things can go. Same with kitchenware, same with towels, same with old sheets, same with old furniture and electronics. It's a worthwhile endeavor to just ask around and put a little effort into finding a home for your items rather than just throwing them away. There's always someone that is more needy, right? So I also wanted to include a couple things that we do to help organize our pack out. And so I confess I am probably one of the more organized individuals, and I tend to overly organize the pack out. But we've had some pretty spectacularly bad pack outs as well. So we have learned this from hard experience and have realized the best way that works for us. And some of the things that we do is to organize by shipment. And so we will move all of the items. For example, if we're doing an air freight, we will move all of those items into one room or put stickers on all of them, like the same color sticker. So it's very clear what goes into that shipment. We also have, especially for UAB, the air freight, you have a weight limit, but you should use every single ounce that is available to you. So have some items that are like borderline items, right? Like you'd like to have them at your onward assignment early, but it's not a deal breaker. So this is how my big pot got to our current post earlier, because we had, I think it was 7 pounds left. And so I got to stick in the pot. So I was very excited about that. We also, so yes, we organize by shipment. The other thing that we do is, for example, we'll put all of the picture frames into one general area so that a couple packers can just go sit there and then pack, and they're just doing pictures. It also helps to organize them when they slide them into boxes, because then all of the pictures will be in the same general boxes. You can do the same thing with books. You can do the same thing with breakable items. And just, you put them all in one general area. And then the packers will probably be very receptive to this, and they'll just assign packers to just sit there and do that particular task. With the State Department, we are extremely lucky in that, and I believe the same would be for any embassy or consulate families, we get a welcome kit. So we use this kit when we arrive and then upon departure as well. And then we just leave it in the house, packing it up, and then it is taken care of by GSO, either sold or whatever the next situation is. So it's important that you make sure that this is packed up in a separate cupboard so that the packers don't accidentally pack up your welcome kit, because then you won't have any cups or plates or pots or anything. So definitely be sure to designate that into a separate cupboard. Maybe you mark the cupboard with no, or with a red sticker, or if it's the kind of cupboard where you have two doors that open up into the same cupboard, you put a rubber band around it, just so it's very clear that that cupboard is not to be packed. The same thing could be for like clothes, maybe that you are designating not to take. So we also have, two family members that generally don't take well to pack out, and those are furry family members and kids. Kids clearly will understand this much better, and obviously the older they are, the more they can contribute and help to organize. But little ones tend to get really stressed and upset about packouts. So this might be a really good opportunity to take advantage of any offers that some friend might have to maybe take your kid for a play date or something for a several-hour block of time, so that they're just not there to get upset by what's going on. They see all of their favorite furniture and maybe stuffed animals being packed up. It can be pretty stressful. Furry family members too generally do not do well with pack out, especially because oftentimes movers will leave doors open. And so if your furry family member is not an outdoor cat or dog, then you will struggle with trying to chase down the animal and make sure it doesn't go outside. What we do is we close the cats off into one room with a bowl of water and a litter box. And we tell the movers not to touch that door. In fact, more often than not, we'll just lock the door and then ask the movers to really focus on one other room that they can completely clear out. So like oftentimes we'll do, one bedroom. And in that bedroom, we will put all of our luggage and clothes and stuff, so that also doesn't accidentally get packed, and the cats and a litter box and a bowl of water, and we'll shut and lock the door. And that way those items won't accidentally get packed. We have had multiple times where one family member's entire closet was packed up. We have also had other instances where we've had things not necessarily go as expected. For example, I remember packing out of one country and we were all there kind of wandering around. I think the kids had gone off, one to a couple night camp, and the other two were invited to a sleepover at another friend's house. So it was just myself and my husband, and our household help was also in the house, kind of wandering around, making sure things were going as they should. And I was pulled into one room. I came back and I couldn't find my water bottle. They had packed my half full water bottle and no one could identify where it went. So, because they were at the point where they were like just dropping things into boxes and such. And so it was gone. And we didn't see that water bottle again until our next country. How many months later? Like 4 months later, 4.5 months later. And in case you're wondering, you cannot clean that smell out of an Nalgene bottle. So unfortunately that had to be replaced. We have, of course, had trash packed. I think everybody has had trash packed. If it's in the garbage can and the garbage can is being packed, well, then your garbage will probably be packed. We've also had, at one point, we were, the little round glass balls that you might put into a vase in order to like help hold flower stems upright, or so that you need a little less water. I think they're called frogs. At one point, the little man that was tasked with packing all of the breakable things bubble wrapped every single glass bead. And they were, like an inch circumference. So it wasn't like the worst task in the world, but that was a very large package. And we didn't have any idea what could possibly be in the package. And then as I started to unwrap, I realized that that little man had sat there and bubble wrapped every single glass ball. I mean, it is what it is. And, their job is to pack, and they will pack what they see fit, even if it is a clearly being used water bottle or trash in the bottom of the bin. So I just wanted to say a couple other just points to help your pack out go a little more smoothly. It is going to be really stressful. It's really hard, and it is very draining to watch your stuff be packed up. Long, grueling days, you'll be on your feet all day. If you're the employee, then you'll feel torn because you should be working, but you have to be home and watching your stuff. And so it can be a very, very trying time. And I just encourage you to be as kind as you can to yourself and to your family members, because everyone will be doing the best that they can in order to successfully pack up all of the house. And also know that, you know, your packers are doing the best that they can. I encourage you to be as kind as you can to your packers. They often come almost like a swarm of worker bees, and they just, you know, go off in pairs, and they're just in every room. Try and watch what they're doing, and just make sure that things are going as they should. And just know that they're there to do a good job. They're not trying to rip you off. They're not trying to be, you know, use too much packaged material to make you overweight. They're I think, generally speaking, trying to do a good job. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep getting the contract from the embassy. So just be patient with them, be kind to them, maybe buy them lunch, but also know that they'll have a start time and an end time, and that's not negotiable. But also know that that last day, even if they're clearly done at midday, they will be there until the end, because they are paid for the end and they don't want to start a new job. So be prepared for really, really long days. It will feel like, you know, your morning coffee was 7 days ago and it's not even quite like 4:30 p.m. So just know they are long, long days, and it will, whatever time frame they gave you, they're professional packers. If they told you it'll take 2 days, it'll take 2 days. If they told you it would take 4 days, it will take 4 days. So just be realistic and know that that is what it is. You're in for the long haul. So just sometimes you just have to take a deep breath and get it done. Finally, just to reiterate, it is an emotionally draining time. If you're, especially, you know, if your kids go off on a play date, or they go to school and they come back and they see all of their stuff gone, it will be very upsetting. For you too, it'll be very upsetting to see all of your stuff in boxes, and, you know, once they're done, the hallways are all echoey, and you know, you can see the outline of every photo and art on the wall. It's really quite hard to go through pack out, and I encourage you to be as patient and kind as you can, as people have different ways to deal with that sort of emotionally charged situation. And just, you know, especially if you want to sit and just talk about it, and it's a good time to really just reminisce about the positive aspects of your tour in that country, and to maybe talk about the things that you're really looking forward to. Maybe look at the photos that you would have received from your assigned house for your next post, and think about where you might put the different pieces, and just, you know, kind of have fun with the situation, because there really isn't anything enjoyable about watching your stuff be put into boxes. So I'm going to leave you with one more pack out story, and then let you go on your merry way. This was when we were packing out a consumable shipment, and we had gone to, I don't know if it was Costco, but some large lot sort of shop, and got a bunch of litter and dog food and cat food, and this was before, like, it was a lot easier to get, now it's a lot easier to get all of these supplies basically just shipped to you, but then it wasn't quite so simple. And the packer got upset with us and said that it wasn't possible to send litter, kitty litter. And we thought, well, why would it not be? It's just, you know, it's just basically clay. And he was very adamant. He was absolutely insisting it wasn't possible. And we were pretty sure that it was possible. And if you've ever used local litter, especially in African countries, it's not super impressive. And so we were pretty determined to bring the litter because we knew that it was allowed. And so my husband called the moving office in Washington, D.C., and they, looked through whatever FAM or FA, and sure enough, it's allowed. And so he, the actual packer insisted that, Washington had to call the office, and so, all of this as it's going on, and slowly the pile is gone, except for the litter is still sitting on the sidewalk. And so finally, the office of Washington assures that the movers company that indeed it is possible to pack the litter. And so the gentleman who was packing our stuff said, okay, I'll take care of it. And he just took the crates and the litter, and he said, okay, I'll take care of it, and left. So I don't know, 6 weeks later, 8 weeks later, we get our stuff in our country. And we were very excited because this was one of our first consumable shipments, and this was one that we had packed ourselves. It wasn't one that we had ordered and then had shipped. So it was super fun to have put together. And I remember opening, you have to like pry off the top of the crate. And when we pried out the top of the crate, little pebbles came out. And I thought, oh, what happened? Something clearly broke. And then we start pulling out of the packing material. And what the gentleman packer had done was he had emptied the litter bucket into the crate by prying off the top of the litter container, which, I mean, I don't know if you've ever pulled off one of the lids on those buckets of litter. They do not come off by themselves easily. So he had pried it open, dumped in the litter, and then he had filled the bucket of litter with boxes and such, and then put it back into there. So we had the bucket and we had the litter, but they were not in one piece as they should have been. So every crevice had kitty litter in it. And so what we did was we opened the crate on the driveway as it was delivered. And we pulled everything out. We brushed off all of the litters. We pulled it out into one pile. And then once we had all of the boxes out, we swept up all the litter, and then we put it into the bucket and put the top on. So we ended up with the litter where it should have been in the first place. But I do encourage, the moral of this story is I do encourage you to be present. Make sure they put all of your stuff into the crate and seal the crate while you are there. And don't let them pull one of these fast ones on you, because it will probably not go in your favor. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We talked about all sorts of different aspects of packing out. Hopefully some of these are, if not entertaining, then at least useful. And so I appreciate your listening, and I hope that some of these suggestions and ideas will help make your pack out a little bit more easy and stress-free, if at all possible, and that you get your stuff without incident at your onward assignment. Have a great day. Thanks for listening.